Ready to level up your leadership? This is the Growth Project. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Growth Project. We've got a really different one for you today. This is the very first of our new, I guess, side hustle episodes that I think I'm going to call it Curiosity Corner. And the really cool thing about this one is that it's not business related, it's not leadership related, it's just interesting stuff. And because I just want to do some casual, relaxed episodes as well about things that interest me and just have really cool, fun chats with people, really casual. And the extra cool thing about it is that the very first guest I had for the leadership topics is my very first guest for what I think is going to be called Curiosity Corner, and that's John Granat. Welcome, John Granat.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to call me Wombat in this part of the podcast. I leave John Granat at the office where you'll explain where we are soon, but no, you're most welcome, mate, and I'm very honoured to be part of your podcast once again.
Mate, now, let me explain. So, the reason I have to call him Wombat now is that that's his nickname, right? It's been your nickname for forever.
Yep, since basically. I was 14, yep.
Yeah, and, so, well, that was a long, long time ago.
Yeah,
basically forever.
Long. Yeah.
So, and where we are right now is I'm at John's place in what is, without doubt, the most epic home bar, man cave, she shed, whatever you want to call it. It depends who's using it on the night. It is the most epic home bar you've ever seen. Now, actually, home bar doesn't do it justice. It's a pub. It's a pub.
I went a bit crazy, yeah.
So John decided that he was going to build an actual pub on his property, and he's literally done that. Now, what you need to do is you need to go on Instagram and Facebook and check out the Wobbly Wombat. That's the name of the pub. The pub is branded as well. It's branded. There's a logo, and there's coasters with the logo on it, and there's the windows have decals with the Wobbly Wombat on there as well.
You got to get the brand out there, Jace. So I wanted to do the damn thing. I wanted you to be transported. I wanted you to walk through, relax, and think you're in a different place. Just and there's different rules in here. It's leave your stress at the door and come chill out. So yeah, Wobbly Wombat everywhere.
Absolutely. And I've been here a few times, and I'm not kidding. Check out the page and check out the videos and check out the photos. You would think that you're wandering down some little country lane in the middle of England somewhere, and you've just stumbled across some little cozy little English pub. I can't even stress enough how I'm not exaggerating that this is an actual pub. There's beers on tap. There's it's like he's gone and raided the English Museum of Pubs and decorated the walls with it. And
that's actually true. Or I got Marketplace here and blew it up, but it just stuck to the walls.
The Marketplace fiend.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Poor Aisha.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here tonight is really cool. John, Wombat, the publican here at the Wobbly Wombat, does whiskey reviews as well on the page. And what he does is he gives honest whiskey reviews and little pointers to people who might be new to experimenting with whiskey and trying to make it a bit more accessible. Is that a fair way to put it?
It absolutely is. It's a passion of mine. I feel like the older I get, the more I want to sink my teeth into a hobby. Yeah. So it's a passion of mine. I really enjoy it. And I felt like I wanted to start sharing that. I've got a lot of encouragement, from yourself, but also from my mates who I've done a few whiskey tastings for, and they just love the way I talked about it and said that I might have something there and that I think other people might like to listen. And if you're laughing at me or laughing with me, I don't care as long as you're laughing. So
good on you.
I'm enjoying it, yeah.
Mate, this is so epic. So what we're doing here is we're having a couple. I actually already just spilt beer on the mic.
Which is amazing. We haven't even got started. It's
I know.
Crazy.
But John is talking us through a whiskey tasting. So I'm going to put photos up on Insta and on Facebook and on the the website as well. And so John's guiding us through a whiskey tasting, and he's going to be teaching me a few things as we go. So
I'm going to
it's
try.
really cool.
I'm going to try.
This
anyway.
is the best course I've ever done on anything.
We're actually doing a Cert 3 in whiskey soon. Well, you'll have to look out on the webpage for that. I'm actually interested to ask you a few questions as we go. Because I'm trying to tap into, I know what I go through when I go through a whiskey, so Dan Murphy's or a whiskey shop, and I'd love to know what you look for. Now, I know some of the things you look for, which is quite funny. We'll bring that up.
The label?
Or the bottle. The bottle looks good, then it must be good. I actually mentioned you on my last video. And you know what? It's as good a reason as any, but it's funny that I really want people to stretch their legs and try something that they might not otherwise get. If I can get a couple of people to do that, I'm a massive advocate for Aussie whiskey.
Yeah.
If you can just jump out there and grab something different because you had a look at a video and thought, oh, yeah, I'll see what else is out there, then I reckon that's a win for me.
Yeah, the amount of times that, because everyone knows from the previous episode that we work together, and obviously that you travel around for work a lot. So we fight over the Tassie jobs, and I think it stings for you even more.
He's never given me Hobart.
When I go,
hashtag give Wombat Hobart. Give Wombat Hobart. I want you to smash his page with give Wombat Hobart.
Does it sting even more that when I go there, I don't go to the
Not even
distilleries?
once. You don't even look at it. You don't care. Yeah. And
it's like a wasted opportunity.
Absolutely. Think of all the whiskey that could be getting drunk. So I should start. And I want to say this. I love whiskey, but I really am about having good quality, special whiskey. Not to excess. It's not about. Some people might call nonsense on that, but it really isn't about getting drunk or getting silly on it. It's about enjoying something that's been crafted. That's I suppose my big message is. I think the older I get, just rolled over the 40. I'm not into the drinking like a 20-year-old, which was the cheapest, nastiest, disgusting. Jason's looking at me. I know he was a 30-can hard ice man. I'm not into that anymore. A bottle of wine or a nice whiskey and a good chat with a good friend.
Yeah,
I love that. So, not to excess. Not about that. But if I can open up the door to whiskey and the amount of enjoyment I get out of it, I'd love for other people too. So, yeah.
And maybe I can impart a bit of wisdom to you as well, because I reckon I'm pretty good at. Like, I could taste a whiskey, I think, and tell you for sure
if it's got
what is the best cola to match with it, because sometimes it's a Pepsi
Okay, so you're
vibe.
about to hear the first person getting bounced from the
vanilla zero sometimes is the best.
Yeah. LA Ice is a winner as well for most of it. It's so funny you say that, because I would actually really encourage. I know you're joking because you just wouldn't do it, but I'm a big advocate for drinking how you like it. If you're going to put a mixer in it, you're kind of spoiling it. You're not going to taste it properly. So even then, give it a try first. Don't do it in front of me, because we're an English pub not far from Glasgow. The Glasgow Kiss does exist.
You would actually think after a skinful, you would think
I would pour you the nastiest, cheapest
here.
whiskey I have. I would find the cheapest, nastiest stuff, and you'd be drinking that.
And let me guess why you take issue with this, right? Because someone has spent a long time crafting this liquid, and it'd be like putting tomato sauce on a Japanese Wagyu, right?
Exactly right. I actually watched an awesome video the other day, actually, and it was from an Irish whiskey maker, an older gentleman. It was a great video, and he was saying, I've been watching the prices for 30-year-old whiskies go up and up and up, and they just keep doubling it, and people keep paying for it. And they need to understand that that's 30 years of failure. That's 30 years it wasn't good enough to sell. That's
a great way to put it, isn't it?
But you think about those age statements, even at the bare minimum, we're talking about years of work.
Yeah.
And even then, that doesn't even quantify it. That's just this liquor you're drinking as a bog standard whiskey. When you think about the training and the failed attempts and the education and the travel that these people have to go through to get to the point where they can craft a drink that is enjoyable or tells their story, no two whiskies want to taste the same. You're not trying to make it taste like someone else's whiskey. You want to make it taste like your whiskey. That's why it's a shame. So you're missing out on a story in my head. So that's
imagine having to wait 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years for people to taste what you've made.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. We have some phenomenal whiskies here in Australia, and I don't know how they do it. Even just to be able to get the business going at that point. I love supporting those businesses now because in 10, 15, 20 years, you might see some special barrels they've put down, but it'll take a lot of time and money and resource to get to that. So,
So I'm looking down at me, and I've got two paddles here with 3 different whiskies on each one. And by the way, the handmade paddles that you've crafted from wine barrels.
That's it, wine barrel staves.
Beautiful. Again, you go to the Wobbly Wombat Insta page or Facebook page, and you'll see them there. And I'm lucky enough to have my own actually at home. But what a beautiful way to present it as well. It looks beautiful.
Looks pretty cool.
Talk us through what we've got here.
So I ummed and ahed for about an hour, trying to think about what I wanted you to drink. Because you know me, when you come here, it's whatever you want to drink. I don't, if you say you'd like to open something or try something, I want that. I just need a push in the right direction. So I was thinking, why not pick 3 whiskies that were particularly special to me? I also have an idea of what your palate's like, and I don't want to kill you with peat or smoke.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these people. I love peat or smoke, but I'm not someone that thinks that if you don't drink that, then you don't drink whiskey. I think you just enjoy what you like. You got to work your way up to that sort of stuff as well. Some people love it off the bat. So I picked 3 whiskies that have a little bit of a story behind each one of them, and are particularly special to me. So I might roll out the first one if you want.
Let's
and we
do
can
it.
have a bit more of a chat.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, this one's a new, very special one. So I think I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but getting older in life with kids and work and everything else that goes on in life, I was finding that I didn't have much of an outlet, and the pub was part of that. My grandfather had passed away, and he had a cracking innings, but there was a lot of memorabilia, just items from their house that we were going to lose, and I didn't want to say goodbye to. So I thought, my wife's never going to let me put them in the house. She would have, but I didn't want to tuck them away in a cupboard. I wanted them out to enjoy. And I had this idea about building this place in the back of the shed for a long time, and I thought, let's start putting this together. So then everything evolved. So first I just sunk my teeth into building it, and I loved building it, and I'm pretty proud of what it looks like, and I love coming in here. I relax as soon as I walk in. But then I started this Insta page and Facebook page, and it's been a really good extension of the same energy. So I'm getting somewhere, I promise you. I did a review of the Ailing Distillery, which is in Nowra, New South Wales. I'm a massive fan of Aussie whiskey. I just love that they're kicking goals all over the world. They're getting recognition every second year for best whiskey in the world, but just recognition, medals all over the place. These lovely people from the Ailing Distillery, Mark and Michelle, saw my review on Instagram, got in contact with me and said, we'd like you to have Series 3 of the bottle you just reviewed because we loved it so much. So wow. It was my first sponsorship. I don't know, encouragement from a producer. Ideally, I mean, I'm a whiskey fan. If anyone wants to send me whiskey to try, I'm all about it.
That's Wobbly Wombat. Wobbly Wombat. Richard, send him whiskey. So
I have got for you today the Ailing Distillery Series 3 Boilermaker Apera cask. So it is 46% ABV. So it has to be minimum 40 to be considered a whiskey. Some people play games with that one, but it has to be. Here in Australia, it needs to sit down or barrel down for at least 2.5 years, which it has. Apera is an Aussie way of saying sherry. We're not allowed to say sherry. It's like the champagne can only come from that area of France.
Right.
So Apera is sherry. So it's funny, that's a drink that's kind of out of fashion, right? I think of old nanas using it in puddings.
I heard my grandmother talking about sherry once upon a time.
It's so funny because it's one of the greatest flavour finishes or barrel finishes for a whiskey, in my opinion. There are others, but it's a phenomenal one. So the first one you're going to try tonight is the Ailing Distillery Boilermaker Apera cask. That's number one. So let's.
So that's the one on the left here.
Yep. So they're all numbered. So number one underneath you.
Oh, gotcha. How cool's that? Yeah.
So again, I'll give it a bit of a
nose in there.
Get a bit of a nose. So big one straight away is get your nose as far into the glass as you can.
I've seen this on TikTok. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? But you said don't throw the whiskey over your
Don't throw.
shoulder.
Yeah, no. If you've seen the White Mackay rep, he's
That's
phenomenal.
the one. Yeah. Okay. So at the moment, I just got.
I get like lime cordial off the top.
See, I'm not. I when you say these things, I sometimes struggle to. Sometimes I wonder if I'm just making it up in my head because I feel like I have to come up with something.
Okay, so I think exactly the same thing, but I'm probably confident enough now to go, that's what I taste.
Gonna run with it?
That's what I smell. Yeah. Everyone's got different palates. You can't say it smells or tastes like something you've never had. I love these comments when you go, regurgitated bananas sat on by monkeys. Awesome. I've never had one of those. I don't know what that smells like or tastes like. Some of the flavour notes are complete rubbish, so...
Okay.
Don't stress too hard about it.
No,
give it a nose.
You can give it some time. Yeah.
What I try to think about is different spices. Run them through my head. See if I can think of those. If I can pick out any fruits. If I can pick out any savoury notes. And then I try to match it to something I might have eaten before. That's literally it. That's what I try to do. So, right or wrong, have a crack at it. If you're starting out, don't be afraid to just guess and throw some ideas out there and have a conversation. Chase is smiling at me because
I'm trying to think of what
anything.
I'm going to think of what. I'm definitely getting whiskey first up.
Yeah, it smells like whiskey for sure. He's a pro, guys.
Oh, what did I just get then? That was I got something distinct then, but now I've got to put a name to it, right?
I'm going to get you to open your mouth when you breathe.
Oh,
breathe
you
it
have
in.
told me that before, actually. Yeah.
Or chop and change. So, but then roll it from one nostril to the other nostril as well. No.
Is cherry silly thing to say?
No, not at all. You know those...
I'm smelling... Can
what
you
are those
smell
lollies
sweet?
you used to dip the white stick into the sherbet? That cherry I can smell.
Whiz Fizz?
Was it Whiz Fizz? You know the triple pack? The double dipper. Double dipper.
Can you smell sweetness?
Yeah. Yeah, you
Because
can.
it smells sweet.
Yep. You'll be able to associate that to something.
Great.
But I'm going to give you a bit of a tip here. The proof's in the pudding. When you start drinking this, the nose doesn't give anything away.
I'm not going to say it.
Smooth.
I'm not going to say it.
You're allowed to say
It
it.
went down easy.
Yeah. So smooth. Let's talk about this quickly. It's in the wrong.
We're on one mic now, mate.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the wrong circles, smooth is like a rookie way of saying it tastes nice. I don't like. You can still have smooth. There's nothing wrong with that. I suppose it's subjective though. So I like a whiskey around the 50 to 55% ABV. I find that the fun place to play, even stronger sometimes. My definition of smooth is totally different to yours. That's probably why. But you can use that as a descriptor. No worries. But what else have you tasted?
All right. So, folks, we're on one mic now. Sorry. Bear with us. So, let's go back in. I'm still drawing mental blanks. I really struggle with this because what I will say first and foremost is
there's no burn.
I'm enjoying it. I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm just gonna mull on this for a little bit.
I just sniffed the microphone. I got confused then. So for me, I think what Jason's saying with the smooth comment, most people think of whiskey with that burn at the back of the throat. This doesn't give you that. The ABV is not that high. The blend's really, really nice. So obviously they'll make their spirit. They'll put it in a finishing barrel. They'll make their spirit and they'll have to water it down, or they'll finish their end product and they'll add water to it to get it to the ABV where they reckon the flavour profile works the best. And for me, I think they've got that. They've nailed that. It's so approachable to anyone, but there's enough going on for even experienced whiskey drinkers. So for me, it's really pleasant whiskey. It's funny. I feel like there's a bit of a honeycomb, nutmeg, There's a molasses finish to it. It doesn't go forever, but I wouldn't expect it to at that sort of ABV. I don't know if that's connected. That's just my take on it. But you don't have to be able to verbalize whether you like it or not. But did you enjoy it at least?
I did. I did. But you know what happened is when I took the last of it, I something tasted distinct, and my brain put grapefruit to it.
There's a bit in
Then I thought that seems silly, but then I remembered you said lime cordial. You said lime cordial, so yeah. And is it true that with the whiskies that you get, sometimes you get tasting notes from the producer as well?
Yes, you do. And you know what? It's not a bad place to start, especially if you're trying to educate yourself on being able to have those conversations about whiskey. I do try not to read them before I've drank it. Yeah. If I've ever read them, it's after I've had the first crack at it, because I suppose I want to get good at it. I think there's always going to be someone out there that would know more about it than I will. But for me, I'd like to be able to throw ideas at you or someone else enjoying a whiskey and just go, I taste this. Can you taste it? That's so much fun when you go, yeah, I gotcha. I can get that. And just now that you said grapefruit, that last sip I had, I totally get that. And there's that little bit of bitterness on the back of your palate right now. Yeah. Warming, like definitely, nice, but they definitely get that.
I can actually get that when you said, because often when you tell me things and we have sipped whiskey together, you've told me these things and I try and find it, and sometimes I can't find it, but yeah, definitely had that bitterness. Still now a little bit.
So for me, this is
unpleasant. No.
This is just a special one that I had a story behind it that I was chuffed that someone, I don't know, thought enough of what I had to say or even just what I'd put together to throw us a bottle. That's a $185 bottle of whiskey, so it wasn't sort of a nothing gesture. And yeah, to Mark and Michelle from the Alien Distillery, I thoroughly appreciate it. So yeah,
good one. That was really enjoyable. And let me see the bottle. Yeah, nice bottle. That's worthy of it. Yeah, thanks, mate. I will. Thanks. John's just pouring me another beer from the tap there. The funny thing is, John's even got the it's not a spatula, the cake decorating thing. He scrapes it to scrape the froth off the top, just like they do in the English pub. It's epic. Are we getting the end of the keg there, are we? Or
no? It's just a bit warm.
Oh, yeah. So I'm looking across the bar as well as he does. Oh, there he goes. He's scraped the foam off the top and given the side of the glass a tap. And as I'm looking across to the bar, taps the old school cash register. What era would you say the cash register's from? Is that?
I think it's 70s.
70s?
Not too old. But it was more that it just painted the picture. I like that it it sort of fit the tone. I had to have one, like the service bell.
People driving in their cars listening to this has just had a crash. Yeah.
Oh, well. My bad.
Do we need a legal disclaimer?
No, we're all good. We're all good.
So that was beautiful. And the bottle is very nice. Too. The design of the bottle. To me, that is an important thing, because if I don't like the look of the bottle, I don't know, maybe my brain develops a bias and convinces me maybe that I won't like it.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you there's something to that. If you've got, if you've spent all this time and money and effort into making a whiskey, I think whiskey producers also believe that people buy with their eyes initially. Yeah. First, you've got to take it off the shelf and go, oh, what's that? And have a look at it. So I don't think you're too far off. So, look, it's a way of a producer being able to catch your eye and go, hey, look at me. Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. So I don't think it's such a bad idea. Is having a bit of a squeeze. He's just seen the pineapple rum on the shelf. You're welcome to have some, my friend, whenever you're ready. I'm going to tell a quick story while we're here. So we're going back a few years now, but I think it was, we're not going to say the C word on any of your podcasts, but just when that sort of stuff was happening, I'd actually arranged for both of us to go to an event called Whiskey and Dreams, which was basically umpteen whiskey producers together. You walk through and taste what you want, drink what you like, have some nice food, chat to people that like it as well, and sound like a cracking night. And then obviously that got shut down, and we couldn't do it. So we went to say the word.
That's the C word.
That's the C word.
Yeah.
So then we what we ended up having was the people that were running the event decided to make it an online event. So they sent us 45 10 ml samples. That was how many producers were on the card. So they producers sent all the bottles, they divvied them all up into samples, and then at that stage it was in its infancy. We knew the event wasn't happening, but we could get together. That was still all right. We're going back 2.5 years, 3 years maybe, possibly three. Yeah. So so we set up the computer. We had, from memory, 1,400 kilos of smoked Gouda and dips and all sorts of things. Lovely spread that Joseph put on. We brought the 2 kits in with glasses, and I brought the water and all sorts of different bits and pieces to enjoy it. And we logged into probably 3 of the most fun hours I've ever had online. Just laughing, enjoying good whiskey, making funny comments into the chat room. So I ended up finishing the 450 mils worth of whiskey.
I've still got some.
And
I've still got some.
Jace got to the point where he goes, "Oh, you like that one? You have this one. Just try it." No, I'm good. He did very, very well. But the reason why I brought that up is because the one that if anyone can remember Ross from Friends when he drinks Maduri, and do you know when he drinks it and Joey goes, "Oh, yuck, what is this?" And he goes, yuck, and turns to the camera and says, that was Jace with the pineapple rum. So,
all these, sorry for the background noise, folks. I'm just turning the other mic back on. But the thing is, when I look back, and it was funny because all these amazing whiskies were sent out to us, and they went to so much effort, to arrange the event. The way the event was done online was phenomenal.
Awesome.
They had all the lineup, and it was like, okay, we're doing whiskey number 3 now, and then that producer came on and they interviewed them online, and they spoke about the whiskey, and they were like, okay, everyone open up vial number 3, and let's taste this one, and we came across that pineapple rum from Plantation. And I still love it. And I haven't tried the coconut one yet.
It's actually the one I didn't drink.
Is it?
I drank a double.
I think we swapped.
And I gave you gave one to me, and I gave you that one.
But that was so much fun. I wish they'd do it again.
Yeah, exactly the same way. It was phenomenal. We had such a laugh. There's 2 whiskey, the godfathers or the grandpas of whiskey in Australia, Ian Schmidt from South Australia and Bill Lark from Tasmania. And anyone that knows those 2 gentlemen, who are phenomenal at what they do and have given so much to the industry, are portly gentlemen with white facial hair. And when they both came on to talk to each other, I wrote in the chat box, "Is anyone else seeing 2 of these guys?" Considering we were halfway through the tasting, I thought that was quite appropriate.
Yeah.
So,
you know what was so hilarious too was, as we went through all the whiskies, the further we got into the lineup, all the comments on the Facebook Live, you could just see how drunk everyone was getting.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking 45 samples, 10 mil, 450 mil, a little bit more than half a bottle. Very doable. But in this whiskey world...
Yeah. Some of them were 60%.
Yeah.
Let's just so they were not all
so people have to be careful, right?
Yeah,
people have to be careful.
Absolutely. In fact, right now I've got, I think it's important to note, we're having a bit of a beer that complements, in my opinion, the whiskey. That's kind of a warm night where we are at the moment. I also have a glass of water. I also have some almonds. I also have some, I encourage people that are drinking the whiskey to take your time, have a glass of water in between your drinks. He's had another stiff. What have you got?
I've just got probably the strongest, most distinct smell out of this pretty much empty glass now from that one we just had. Prunes.
There's actually way more flavour. So I poured this.
Or plums.
I'm going to let you behind the curtain here a little bit. I poured this about 20 minutes before we started because we had some power issues, but we got that sorted. And I wonder whether, because that's what I was hoping you would get straight off the bat.
Really?
I was even surprised that the nose had dulled slightly.
Ah,
You've always
so
laughed at me,
strong
but
now.
I've got these little tops that I put on top of the glass that I generally do for a tasting, but they often get in the way.
Oh man, that's really distinct now for me. That's really obvious.
Just for an experiment. I won't get silly.
Oh, this is going to be. This is going to be a terrible Uber ride home. I can see
It's going to be brilliant. So I've just poured it just the tiniest little bit more in Jason's glass. Are you getting more off that straight off the bat?
I am.
Yeah.
Now that I've identified it, is it because I've picked it?
I killed it a little bit in the glass. I reckon that's what it was.
Right.
Not just that you picked it, that I think it sat in the glass too a little bit too long.
So it's your fault.
My fault. Yeah.
It's really distinct now.
Yeah.
John's just giving me a tiny little bit more of the same whiskey. And
I can't stress this enough, though. When you're having your whiskey, you don't need to drink copious amounts of it. In fact, that justifies the investment for me.
Yeah.
If I'm going to spend that kind of money on a bottle, I want it to last. I want it to enjoy it. I'm just interested. Well, you just had it. You just drank it.
Is this just like I've seen on TikTok where, I cut the pizza into 12 pieces so I get more?
More, yeah.
Come on.
Well, what's a box of beer now? What's a slab of beer?
I actually don't know.
About 50,
surely
45
at least
to 60 bucks, depending on what you're drinking.
Yeah, minimum.
And generally that's for a barbecue or you might be stocking up the fridge, and I could be talking complete nonsense, but I don't think you get the enjoyment you get out of this. I mean, I'll have a bottle in the shelf. I generally try to get them drunk within a year because they say they start to degrade. I mean, I'm going to tell you they degrade as soon as you open them. They'll only get worse from there.
Oh,
so
really?
keep them out of sunlight. Do the right thing. You can use parafilm on top and stop them from breathing and do all sorts of things to try to make that longer. But they'll never be as good as when you there's like a peak period of when to drink it.
So they're kind of dying the moment you take them out of the cask?
Every time you take that cork off to pour yourself some, you're opening it up to more oxygen and you're losing components of the whiskey, depending on how you're storing it. So they call that the angel share. That's from the barrel house, but I'll tell you, the greedy people still keep taking it, even when you got it in the cupboard. So when you open it up, you may as well enjoy it. But you can have that up to that year to really enjoy it. So what did you think of that second taste?
That was actually radically different. For me, the second taste.
Yep.
What do you think? Is it big? Is it? You said I don't know what you meant when you said killed it in the glass.
Okay, so as soon as I've poured that in there, the whiskey glasses, all whiskey glasses, no matter what you're drinking out of, should have a round bottom. Any of the bourbon glasses that you're pouring it into, you're missing out. So a round bottom brings that bouquet of the whiskey straight back up through the nose of the glass. Jason's drinking out of a stemmed little whiskey glass, and I've got the Glencairn on my side. I think over time, so it sits there breathing, it's interacting with oxygen, and the longer it sits there, the more it interacts, the more flavour you're losing. And I think it may possibly miss that by about a few minutes. So, because even I was surprised at how much you didn't get out of that whiskey when you drank it. So, but
so that was the Ailing. Can you just tell us what that was again?
The Ailing Distillery Boilermaker, Apericast Series 3.
That's worth it, guys. That John said, what did you say, about
185 bucks. Very special bottle
for a special occasion.
Absolutely. So
that's worth it.
Ailing, AISLING. You'll find them online. I love going straight to the distillery. It supports them straight away. They make the money out of it, which is what they deserve.
And folks, Australian distillery, support local.
Yeah, if you're listening in New South Wales. They're floating around. You got quite a few fantastic distilleries up there, so support them. So whiskey number 2. I'm gonna roll out whiskey number 2. Take your time, mate. You're all right.
I'm good.
All right. So I picked this one for a different reason. So for this one, I wanted to give Jace a type of whiskey that he may not have had, and I wanted to go to a region that I think. I don't know if it's underrated. I think most whiskey people know how special it is, but they make arguably some of the best whiskey in the world. No, it's not called Scotch. It's whiskey, and I'm talking of Ireland. They have a different procedure for making their whiskey. It does not need to be a malted barley mash bill. It can be whatever grain you want it to be. They also distill it 3 times in a distinct distillery process.
So is this because pot still? That's
Pot stilled.
I'm
It's unique.
trying to remember the difference. So this is different from reflux. Is reflux still? Is that right?
I don't know the
Different process or
technical
something. Yeah.
aspects, if I'm totally honest. Something I need to educate myself in the space. Jason's actually knows how to make this stuff, which is pretty crazy.
Hang on, I've followed instructions from YouTube, and I can make it.
That's
Passable
a lot more
mixer.
steps than I have.
Yeah, sorry, keep going.
So just that, it's funny. It's actually why I picked this one. It's funny you'd already mentioned it. You use smooth a lot in a whiskey, and there's nothing wrong with that. If I'm talking to another whiskey head, I'll try to avoid using the word smooth. I don't know why. I think it's like I said, subjective. But anyway, they are Irish whiskey is arguably the smoothest whiskey in the world. Put it that way.
Do you know what? I remember when we went to our first work Christmas party together, that when we first started working together.
I know exactly what whiskey you're about to mention.
Yeah, we went to a whiskey tasting at that beautiful little whiskey bar. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what it was called. Do you remember what it was called?
Not the bar, but I know the whiskey.
And then we had a really nice fellow sit with us and give us a guided whiskey tasting. And I remember how surprised you were by the Irish whiskey that he presented to us.
I couldn't believe it, actually. I've got I got a version of it up here. It was called the Rider's Tears, and the bottle we had was the Copper Pot. And you can actually find that at Dan's really easy, and its price point is actually really reasonable. Reasonable in that it's still $80 or so.
Yeah.
But phenomenal. We both really enjoyed that, right?
Yeah.
I get like burnt butter and jammy flavors from a whiskey, but there's also this. It's so silly. Maybe it's just me, but I reckon you taste the copper of the still. Yeah. I really do feel like you get the it sounds awful, a metallic element to your drink, but there's a unique flavour profile to Irish whiskey that I absolutely love. Now the Redbreast 12-year-old is by far my favourite Irish whiskey. This is the cask strength. I love it. I just think it's if I had to pick, a top 10 of whiskies to have in my cabinet forever, that would be one of them. So, wanted you to try it. And again, another cracking whiskey. So that is the Redbreast 12-year-old cask strength Irish whiskey. Have a crack, man. See what you think.
Nice bottle.
Nice bottle. Has to be good.
Oh, this is different.
Yep. You get a lot more of the spirit on the nose. You should get a lot more of the spirit.
Yep. When you said burnt butter, one of the things that kind of... Is it too common to say like almost like a butterscotch, buttery...
Not at all. Not at all. I encourage people... the Wobbly Wombat is a safe space. Have a crack. Yeah. Just go with what your gut says.
Sultana?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's definitely there's a
or raisin.
There's a dried fruit of some description in there. Fruit. You notice how the more you swirl that, the more it opens up.
Changes, yeah.
So what you're doing with that round bottom glass as well is you're throwing all that bouquet straight up to the top. Listen to me. I hope you delete this bouquet.
I have this thing too that I do, and I'm very aware that it's probably a load of crap, but I think of the Venturi effect. You know what I do all the time? Every time I open a bottle of something, I blow air across the opening of the bottle or the glass, thinking that if there's just the actual alcohol vapor coming off, to get rid of it. Is that stupid, or am I wasting my? Am I just?
I reckon you're probably missing out on maybe a part of the flavour profile.
Could be doing myself a
disservice. So when you swoosh that around and run the legs down the glass, I reckon.
I'll explain the legs.
That's the perfect time to run the.
This is about the sugar content, is it?
Yep. So full-bodied to. Would you say base liquor to full-bodied whiskey, I guess?
Yep.
So when you roll your whiskey around the glass, let it touch the sides of the glass and then let it sit, you'll start to see little, what they call legs or runs down the glass.
Yeah.
More legs, more full body, more body to the whiskey. And
so
that
the
content,
more
the sugar
number
content.
of legs you see running down the glass?
Correct.
I didn't...
So
okay,
I didn't tell him, but it's this is nearly 55% ABV on this one.
Oh, jeez. Well, I'm a lightweight.
Look, I'm sorry. I told a lie. It's 56.4. You don't have to drink it all, mate. You just pour
This
it into
is
my glass.
gonna be-
So I'm getting vanilla now.
We're going to have to edit this episode, I think.
Nah, let it go.
This is like very, very different to the last one.
Oh,
For me.
100%. I didn't want the same. Oh man, for me now, finish and mouthfeel are the ones that's why I put the money down to buy a whiskey. So this is so oily and viscous and it's like you could almost chew into the whiskey. Yeah. That's how it feels, like thick.
Yeah.
I love that about Irish whiskey. I would say that was unique to Irish whiskey. But that does not drink like it's 56.3 in my opinion. You don't get any burn at the back of the throat. I'm saying that. I don't know about Joe's.
You're a bit more seasoned than me.
I feel like
I can taste every percent.
Can you?
Of that 56.
Yeah, really. I wonder if I hadn't told you whether you would have said that.
Well, maybe I would have just said that it's very strong flavoured. But that's me not being very...
It's not spirit driven, I don't think. I feel like... I don't know.
Let me clarify.
Go.
I really like it.
Yep.
I really like it. But for me, that's probably... I would... Yeah, maybe it is because you said it.
Maybe I shouldn't have. Yeah,
but it is. Yeah. But now that you've said it, maybe I just can't get it out of my head. But it seems very strong.
Well, we're gonna try something here. So enjoy a little sip of that one. So what I do encourage people to do if they're having a whiskey with me is if you at first it's not your bag, it's not your thing. You're not really enjoying it. I absolutely encourage you to add some drops of water.
Oh yeah,
which will bring down that ABV.
This dropper here, is it?
Yeah, you can explain the old.
Well, it's like if you have a straw and you put the straw in the liquid and put your finger on top of the straw and then you can drop the liquid in. Is that the same?
That's exactly
the same
right.
thing.
So the idea of this
is this the Tasmanian water?
This is Tasmanian water. Got good quality water.
He imports his water from Tasmania, folks.
In my defence, Jay showed me that there was Tasmanian water nearby, and I grabbed it. So with this particular dropper, I think it's important if you want to drink. If you find that you drop water into your whiskey, and it's the perfect mix.
Yeah,
and you love it. You're like, oh my god, this is the greatest whiskey I've ever had. You need to take note of how much water you're putting in. Otherwise, you'll be chasing that whiskey. So
is this a real thing where people will adjust their whiskey to taste it with water?
100%. Yeah. Some distilleries, they encourage you. They say, no, add water to it. It opens up the bouquet of the... so give that one more smell. Just give it the whiskey one more smell. I'm going to go just a tiny drop of water for you.
Yep.
And I'm going to ask you to give this a nice little swoosh around in the glass. So I probably put 2 drops of water in.
Yeah, that was probably exactly 2 drops.
Now, when you're ready, give that another nose.
Oh, yeah.
Did anyone else hear Tennessee whiskey in the background? It's like I planned it. It's like a soundtrack.
Is this Teskey Brothers? Who's...
it's not. It is Chris Stapleton.
Yeah, I like it.
The Wobbly Mix, available on Spotify.
We are legit in an English pub, folks.
For sure.
Legit.
There's deer heads on the wall, fake ones. Old
knight's armour.
There's some axes and swords and
you know what? I've been here. What is this? My 4th? It would have been my 4th or 5th time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And every time I come here, there's something in the room that I hadn't seen before, like that little miniature ship, the old wooden ship on the mantle there. I hadn't seen that before.
I love that part. I love when people come through and they eyes open up and they start looking around the room. Do you know what we're going to miss out on, I reckon, as we get older, is these little knickknacks, these silly knickknacks I've got on the wall. Who's going to spend the money to make that type of stuff anymore?
No one.
I just don't think it's going to happen, right? So the things
it'll be 3D printed.
Yeah, the things that have got character and that have someone's actually crafted or, I don't know, shown some imagination to build, no one's going to pay money to have it done anymore. And for me, it's a little museum. It sounds so silly, but it kind of is for me. I love it. I get a kick out of it.
There could be some financial tax benefits or something here if you list this, join as a museum, because it honestly. No, I'm going to start talking crap now.
That's good. The whiskey's hitting him. Yeah, the whiskey's got him.
Back on the job because he asked me to do something.
Okay, so you've nosed it again. Has it changed in the nose?
Now, something did come to mind, but I don't know if I'm just full of crap or not.
Throw what you're thinking at
me.
Black pepper? Nice, yep. Absolutely.
Black pepper?
Yep.
And I'm proud of that because it's not a fruit. I feel like my go-to is always some kind of fruit.
So I always find that the nose, someone's going to dispute this, but I find the nose goes a bit more savoury. But the whiskey should sweeten up and should not have as much kick to it. It should taste completely different.
That tastes a lot different just from 2 drops of water.
Yep.
Wow.
And this is the fun part of a bottle of whiskey. You bought a bottle, you invested $100, and you go, oh, I don't like it. One, give it time. The neck pour's always generally rubbish.
When you say the neck pour, just the first...
As soon as you crack it and you open it and pour it, I always let it sit in the glass. I think if you remember, we organised a special bottle for you for your 40th.
Yeah.
50th? 40th. And what we did is I actually told you, I'd read up quite a lot about this whiskey, and I said, I want you to pour it and leave it in the glass for half an hour.
Yeah.
And I said, smell it or taste it throughout the half an hour by all means, but let it sit. And what did it do in that half an hour?
Oh, it smelled like Christmas pudding.
Yeah, that was
it really did.
Dewars.
I think I've still got
Aussies
a little
tiny
bit left of that one.
25-year-old, unbelievable blended whiskey. Yeah. So yeah, just a couple of drops of water. And would you say, based on the first compared to the water, which would you be a preference to drink again?
That's a hard ask.
Yeah, okay, that's all right.
That's a hard ask.
Did you find it easier to drink then? Did you just
that was easier to drink for me after the water?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
In fact, I would say if you asked me to pick the alcohol content of that, I would say after the water the same as the first one.
Yeah, so you definitely drop it. There's no way of measuring.
Drop it.
There's no way of measuring that. I can't tell you what it went to. Yeah. But a lot of whiskey producers will tell you, they'll encourage you to mix some water with the whiskey and see what it does. That's the fun part of playing with the spirit. I think here in Australia, I don't know about yourself, Jason, when I was a young bloke and started, I was legally allowed to go to a pub. It was about the cheapest stuff you could get.
Woodstock. Old Crow.
The cheapest stuff you could get. And look, I suppose I was never taught how to drink. That sounds so stupid saying out loud, but what are you drinking for? I think when you're younger, I think it's about getting to being pissed, right? I think that's what we all did.
Cruiser snorkels?
Yeah.
Did you do the snorkels?
I never did
with
the snorkels.
straw?
I never did them. No. Were you angry at the boys stealing all your cruisers out of the fridge?
Well, you could do the snorkels with anything.
Yeah, but you said cruisers.
I'm probably going to forget to edit that out too.
No, don't edit it out.
Well, cruisers, when I was younger too, sorry, let's go on story time. When I was younger, young boy, I'd go to my first, when you started going to parties, maybe with your school friends.
I love drunk
and
Jason.
When you just start,
he's not drunk.
It doesn't take me much. When you first
he's
start,
happy. He's just happy.
When I first started being allowed to have a little bit of alcohol, I'd have a party. I might have been in year 10, year 11 at school, and we'd have all the run of all the 16th birthdays. And everyone was kind of allowed to have a tiny little bit of alcohol at the party, and the parents would supervise and all that. So my parents would go, righto, you can have maybe a 6-pack of light beer, right? Carlton Light cans was the choice for if my dad took me to the bottle shop. And so the idea was just in short burst, just scull the whole 6-pack in one go to get it buzzed. Because if you did it slow burn all night, it was...
Because beer doesn't taste good.
Yeah,
why would you drink? Not at that age. I'm not drinking because it tastes nice.
That's right. We're going for effect here.
That's right.
Right. But the snorkels was a great way because you could down a stubby in about a second, in about
point A to
of a
point
second.
D very quickly.
Yeah. So, again, we were very immature. And by the way, I'm not endorsing that on this podcast. That's very irresponsible and naughty.
I was actually going to talk about that. Just literally, you were reminding me that we run obviously courses together and individually, but we talk about stress management in a lot of our courses. Honestly, I mean this sincerely. Alcohol to excess is not an appropriate way to deal with stress, and we all have stress in our lives. Having said that, I do enjoy once or twice a week coming in. And I'm talking about a small pour of whiskey and just thinking about the flavour profile and taking some time to listen to some music and have some space and just breathe for a little bit. I know that sounds a little bit well,
No.
for lack of a better term, silly, wanky. I don't know.
doesn't.
But
It
but
doesn't.
I see that as a really good quality, safe way of
Yep.
of stress relief.
But it's not the alcohol that's giving you the stress relief. It's the ritual.
That's exactly what I was getting at.
Yeah.
It was, I'm not saying that because you're putting this in a podcast. I'm telling you that anyone that looks at me, I've actually had since the Facebook page went up, I've had a lot of people come in and go, "You're right, you got way too much alcohol." But again, I think those people drink differently to me. I don't. I very rarely get to the point where I want to get to yuck drunk. I know I've got to get up at 6 next morning to take care of kids and do stuff.
I am so terrified of hangovers.
Yeah.
I'm literally scared of them.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm even scared of the Uber ride home because I know the whole
Not
car's
me.
gonna
I'm looking
start
forward
spinning.
to hearing about it on Monday. It's an important message, though. If the page is silly, it's silly, but I'm really enjoying it. But it's not about excess. It's about, give yourself a treat, get yourself something really special, enjoy it, think about it, and if I can get you to sit down and have a nice quiet drink by yourself and just relax, let the shoulders come down, and have a bit of fun with something, I reckon that's gold. So
It is, yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So it's not about even the pours I've given you tonight are not excessive.
No.
I've given you small pours. You can have whatever you want. I like to think I'm generous. You can have whatever you want when you come here. But yeah, it's not about that racing to the end, the finish line. It's about enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, mate. And a reminder, folks, Instagram, Facebook, the Wobbly Wombat. Check it out.
I'm not paying for those. I just want to, yeah. If you get some
you are
enjoyment
in
out of that, or
whiskey.
you are intrigued, then please
He's
take a
paying
look.
in whiskey. Yeah. And the little sips of I've had a couple of is palate cleansing a real thing?
100%.
I have to. Are they smoked almonds?
They are smoked almonds.
Epic. And I'm just having a little sip of beer here and there.
He
bit of
loves them
sip
so
of
much
water.
he's eating my ones.
Oh, are these?
Not at all. No. I think that's really important. So for me, coffee beans,
Yep.
dark chocolate coated coffee beans, or almonds, or something very neutral that you can. Some people will think of the coffee beans as not being neutral and revolting, but they really do just cleanse your palate.
Yeah.
We're actually drinking a Killer Sprocket IPA from Victoria. They did a phenomenal job, but it's got a sharp cleansing finish. It's a very similar to that grapefruit we were talking about before, right? But it does cleanse your palate.
Yeah.
It's actually working really well with the whiskey because it's funny. I went to a pub recently called the Boilermaker House in the city, and they pride themselves on matching whiskies with beers. And the boys bought one off their menu, and they enjoyed it. They got me to choose it, and they really liked it because I love the whiskey that they chose. But I actually didn't think the whiskey and the beer matched. So for me, I like something that goes together but contrasts. Does that make any sense whatsoever? I don't want a beer that tastes like the whiskey or a whiskey that tastes like the beer. I want to be able to drink the beer for its own right, and when I hit the whiskey, it's like drinking the first sip over and over again. That's, to me, is the fun part. So I chose one the next time. Unfortunately, that next time cost me $184. But the boys turned to me and said, "That is awesome." And I got them a dark porter, which I don't normally drink. So I got them a porter.
So not quite as bitter as a stout.
Not
nice
as bitter,
and dark and
but just that
mealy
and that mouthfeel, but also that cleansing, sharp finish. And then I paired that with a milk and honey Dead Sea edition of their whiskey, which was phenomenal. But yeah, I limped out of there with my wallet on fire. Actually, just ignore that.
editing.
Editing.
Do you know what I found in my fridge not that long ago? You might remember, and we're not going to mention who the producer was or who the brewer was. But do you remember where and when we had that coconut stout?
Yes.
At the offer, but
it was filth.
An appropriate.
It was filth. I don't think we had the temperature right, but it was too much.
I found the last can of it in the fridge.
Did you drink it?
No, we used it in the garden.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah,
I would make great fertilizer.
To attract bugs, like a bug trapper.
So that's
there
funny.
you go.
It's funny. There's a fine line because they had a stout, a Golden Gay Time stout. And they would let you try some, but it was just way too. It definitely tasted like a Golden Gay Time, but it was way too much. So
the coconut stout wasn't for me, but or maybe we didn't have it cold enough or something. I don't know. But,
possibly. But you were saying that having a sip of the beer before and after the whiskey's kind of working quite nicely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The other thing is that kind of beer it would have to be the right beer, right? Because a sour wouldn't. A sour isn't the thing for this. Maybe I don't know. But coming back to that, because we did kind of allude to who that was, but they also did, I reckon, the most amazing sours that I reckon I've had.
I love a sour. I think in summer, like today, this afternoon, hint, boss. In this afternoon would have been perfect afternoon for a sour. So I don't know for those that indulge, but more of your. I think you'd say it was like a. This is going to sound so lame, but a spritzer or a fruit based beer. Yes, still got an alcohol content that's quite high, but it's light and it's refreshing and it's
super refreshing.
It's especially if you're having one or two. I don't think it'd be a session thing for me, but and there's so many crazy different flavors out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one I ever had was a pink grapefruit sour.
Yeah.
And it was the first sour I had ever had, and I took one sip of it. And the first thing that people would know, if you know me, no surprise that Jason's walking around an establishment with a bright pink drink.
He brings his own umbrella.
I love a colourful cocktail, but this thing, to me, visually, looked like it should have been like some kind of tutti frutti cocktail. It was very different. It was very sour, and my first reaction, my first sip was, I need to tip this out because it was awful. But I thought, no, I'll give it a bit more. And by the time I finished the pint, I loved it, and I went back for another one. So, but there's so many different ways to have the sours, right? I think we had them at Little Brew.
Yep.
So, which is, I'm not sure, they're still obviously owned by or integrated now, maybe with sorry, I got a mental blank out at Belgrave there. Killick.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So Killick. Remember how we had our work Christmas party at Little Brew?
Yep.
One of the best Christmas parties of all time, by the way.
Well, awesome.
Little Brew, amazing, and the same fellas own Killick.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
Remember they were building the still when we were there?
Yeah.
Well, that's Killick.
I had no idea.
There you go. Handmade still.
Did not join the dots.
Yeah.
And Killick is a fast-growing behemoth.
Award-winning.
Well, they're now in Dan Murphy's, and they're in Bottler around the corner selling them as well.
Good on them.
But they're in Belgrave. If you're looking out for them, they're phenomenal.
So if you're going to go and try a sour, they do these syrups as well. Different flavoured syrups. Remember
the coriander one?
The coriander syrup.
Oh, it sounds revolting. I love coriander, by the way.
With the sour beer. Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't get the whole soap. It tastes like soap thing.
No. Okay, well, just bullshitting, I think.
They're not right. If you're having a pork roll and taking out the coriander, are you even having a pork roll?
No.
No chili, no coriander. Go get a cheeseburger, mate.
I'm going to go for another sniff on this second whiskey.
Please, do it.
That's different again now, too.
So, for me, there's a lot of sugar content right left in the glass.
Definitely.
A phenomenal whiskey, a really special one for me. I love, the Redbreast. It's phenomenal. If you're out there and you haven't looked around, you can find the Redbreast pretty easy. There's also a Redbreast Lustau, which is finished in I believe it's an Oloroso cask. Phenomenal. Awesome. So good. So
I'll just give you an insight as to why I'm smiling here. Because I was like, what's that smell? Is that port? And then I look at the bottle. Oh, it is port. Port? No, pot. Pot still.
He's trying to cheat. He's trying to cheat here, ladies and gentlemen. But did you enjoy it? Did you? This is one of the most when you came up with this idea to sort of get together and have a couple of nice little whiskies and have a chat together. This is why we drink whiskey in the first place. Good people.
Yeah.
Nice little setting. Bit of free time. No one's driving. Just to relax and just have a laugh. And I love this. This is me. This is why I built this joint. So, and for those that haven't seen it yet, it is way over the top. I went completely stupid on it. But everyone seems to get a kick out of it.
Wobbly Wombat, Insta, Facebook, Wobbly Wombat. Yeah, I can't say it enough. You have to, if you haven't checked it out yet, pause the damn podcast and go and check it out. You have to. Yeah, it's crazy. Sorry.
No, I love you for it. Thanks, bud. Really appreciate it. So a lot of blood, sweat and tears in here, but every time someone walks in and notices something or picks something up and asks me questions, and your lovely wife dropped you off tonight and I showed her a couple of new things in the pub, and I always get a laugh. Everyone's always having I think people speak fondly of it too. We actually had a get together here the other night where one of my daughter's school friends came over and their parents come over. And Mel is her name. I don't know why I'm overthinking this. Mel came over and she'd seen the bar before, but her husband hadn't seen it. And she didn't tell him anything about it. Just said, he's got a little bit of a setup in the shed.
little bit of a setup is the greatest understatement as words that have ever been spoken.
So when he walked in, he actually just stopped at the front door for a second with his mouth open and started laughing while I was pouring him a beer. And
you would never get sick of those reactions.
No, not at all. No, I love it. It's really special to me. There's a lot of memories on the wall, and there's a lot of sentimental things in
for
here
sure.
as well.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff tied back to my grandfather.
Yeah.
Just as an example to that, I got these special lights on the wall that were ordered by my grandfather 70 years ago to go back into his house. When he bought the house, the owner didn't want to sell the handmade lights that were in there, and there's these beautiful coach lights that are made out of copper that used to live behind the TV, and they've been there my whole life. And when we sold the house, unfortunately had to sell the house, I asked if I could keep the lights, and to see them up on the wall exactly the same position as they were at my grandfather's house, I think he'd have a bit of a chuckle with that. So I love that. So
that's pretty special.
That part's pretty cool.
That's pretty special.
Yeah. Are you traveling all right? You're doing all right? I've got water there for you. So if he's giving me the A-OK.
A-OK.
So
traveling nicely.
I might introduce the third and final bottle if that's all right.
Yep.
If unless you want to break.
No, we're on a good pace, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So
we've got to provide entertainment value as well.
100%. Hopefully everyone's having a bit of a chuckle at us too. This bottle here is the reason I drink whiskey.
Let me guess. I know how it's spelt, but it's said differently.
Yeah.
Because I remember this. You told me not the first thing you told me about whiskey, but you told me very early days when we started working together about your favourite whiskey, and it's if I was to read it phonetically, did that come out? Bunnahabhain. Bunnahabhain.
Stop talking. Stop
saying. Bunnahabhain.
Stop saying yes. Bunnahabhain.
What is that? Is this Welsh spelling?
No.
Because what is the
Gaelic?
Gaelic
spelling.
That Bunnahabhain.
Am I saying it? I think it's the.
Someone was drinking too much of this when they wrote it down.
Is it the BH? I think creates a V in the Gaelic.
Like Siobhan.
Yeah.
Sopan.
I never said. Yeah.
There was a woman that used to work at the local. There was a lady.
Has anyone met an AFO yet and try to read that when they don't know how to say it?
There was a lady who used to work at a supermarket nearby, and her name was Siobhan. They had the name tag, and it was SIOBHAN.
Soberhaven.
So I was like, what nationality is Siobhan? It's Siobhan. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. Unless you get told, there's no way of knowing.
So
this
Bunnahabhain?
whiskey, yeah, Bunnahabhain. So I was lucky enough, silly enough, I don't know. I was talking to my wife about this the other day that we travelled. We decided we didn't want to buy a house. We didn't want to settle down just yet. We wanted to travel. So we did. We wanted to live in the UK, like most Aussies or a lot of Aussies, but we didn't want to. I really did not want to live in the stock places. So I know there's towns in and around London. There's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. Don't get me wrong. But basically, Aussies have taken over. You got to go look for English culture. And I didn't. I went up to Scotland. I went to Edinburgh. I've always. My grandfather used to travel there for work, and the way he would talk about He used to call it Layfrog, which is actually Lefroy. Until the day he died, he called it Layfrog.
That's the one that tastes like an ashtray, right? To me.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Because it's uniquely Scottish whiskey. Scotch. Yeah. It's unique Scotch. It's very special, and you'll work your way up to that, and you'll appreciate it one day. But he loved it, and I loved it because he loved it. And I always wanted to go to Scotland because of my grandfather. And when we got to Edinburgh, I was taken aback at the age of. So they've got buildings there, Jace, that are older than our country. Like there's pubs on corners that have been there longer than there's been white people in Australia, which is crazy. They used to always ask me, what are you doing here? Why would you come to Scotland? So I was a barman in Edinburgh for just over 12 months. And in that time, a couple of good mates that I met over there, we would work for peanuts. So it was terrible pay. But we would sample the back bar. The people would buy you drinks throughout the night, and you'd save them, and then you'd get yourself a couple of whiskeys at the end of the night. And we had a massive gallery, huge gallery, which is what this is my bar's trying to replicate. Yeah. Huge gallery of whiskies, and you'd slowly just try your way through them. And there's a special day I had, and the gentleman's no longer with us. He passed away, unfortunately, but we had a work do, and we went out for this to a very special hotel in Edinburgh on Northbridge. Anyone that's been there, you'll know what I'm talking about. And we had it was actually the buyers meeting for pubs in the area. So they'd go in there to taste all the wines and new spirits and everything, and they'd order them for their bars. So as a thank you to all the hard workers in the pubs, the owners of the business said, why don't you come along? You're not going to affect what we buy, but you can get pissed and have a good time and have fun while you're doing it, while we're there. So we tagged along, and at the end of the night, the boss said, righto, let's go to the bar. And we said, no, it cost a fortune. Let's go back to your pub. He goes, no. Let's just have a special drink here. And I chose the Bunnahabhain. And for me, it's always, it takes me straight back to that place every time I drink it. It is a Scotch, proper Scotch, but it's not a peat monster. So that's what I would not serve it to you because I know that's not your thing. But this is a proper Scotch, just so we're clear. You can't call it Scotch unless it's from Scotland, made in the traditional way. It's a personal favourite. It's something that I kind of laugh or smirk when I drink it because I'm like, what about Johnny Walker? You've cost me a fortune since then. Called Johnny Walker Scotch? Okay, get out. This podcast is over.
I said Johnny Walker Scotch whiskey.
No. Actually, it's funny you mentioned Johnny Walker because I washed the glasses in Johnny Walker before I poured the good stuff in it. No, I'm joking. This phenomenal Johnny Walker. I suppose Johnny Walker's made for the masses, though, right? It's a commercial brand now. At one point, it was quite prestigious. I think there's elements of Johnny Walker that still are. The story behind Johnny Walker is phenomenal. Actually, there's 15 different distilleries that give good quality spirit to Johnny Walker that no one knows about.
Really?
Yeah, no one knows the name of them. If I said Linkwood to you, you'd have no idea what that.
So what they blend it to what Johnny Walker is.
Just think about that. Over all these years, every time you buy a bottle of Johnny Walker, it tastes the same. Someone's there tasting different whiskies from different batches, from different barrels, from different.
Hard job.
And pulling it together to make it taste like Johnny Walker every single time. So it's actually pretty impressive when you think about it that way.
The process is impressive. The amount of work that goes into making average spirit.
I don't know if it's average.
Let's pay some respect to the stuff you're showing me now. It's average spirit. It is. Do I need to edit that out?
I don't know. No, not edit. No, it's a really interesting conversation because I think most whiskey drinkers would say, it doesn't meet the mark, and you wouldn't catch someone drinking Johnny Red as you wouldn't drink it. If I was at a bar and they had beer or they had Johnny Walker, I would probably drink a beer. Just because I don't get the same thing out of it. There's nothing to figure out. It is Scotch. Don't get me wrong. I'm not slagging off Johnny Walker. If you enjoy Johnny Walker, then fantastic. I've had blue, I've had green, I've had black, double black. I don't know. I think for me, because it's so mass produced, I appreciate the artistry and getting it together to taste the same every time. But the stuff that I'm showing you tonight and the stuff I've got in the cabinet behind me, I don't know. I feel like someone's really crafted it to be unique. They want to put their own stamp on it.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to take over the globe and be a a world power. When you think of Scotch, you think of Johnny Walker, which is what they've done. They've done a phenomenal job. But I just don't think it's the same drinking experience. That's probably the reason I don't drink it.
Yeah, so when you were talking about how, the people crafting it, I guess you got to pay respect to the person who's receiving all these different whiskies or different spirits and going, it's my job to make all these different things mixed together to taste exactly the same as every other bottle we've ever produced. That hats off to that person.
But you never know what you're actually drinking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know who crafted it. There's a blender who's amazing at what they do.
I just assumed that it was this. Here's the recipe. Make it like that.
Put it this way, right? Would you say that although American, Jack Daniels is on par with popularity of Johnny Walker?
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah.
Jack Daniels is only made in one place in the whole entire world.
Yeah.
I know that sounds so stupid. It's Tennessee whiskey, but it literally comes from a stream that runs through their property in Tennessee, and it's uniquely from that place. So every time you drink it, although it may be blended to make it taste the same, when you buy Jack Daniels, it's the same. That they've got different batches and they've got there'll be different flavour profiles that pop through, and they have to do certain things to make it taste consistent. They also do some amazing select barrels and things that are one-offs that are so special. They don't blend them into anything. They go, nah, stand alone, keep this by itself. I think I love that. There's a bit of a story behind it. Whereas Johnny Walker people are going to hate me for this, but that's where I sit with it. I love the brand. I think the brand's brought a lot to Scotch in general, but it just doesn't have the same drinking experience for me. Like, it's more of a status thing than Johnny Blue, right? When we were younger, if you got a bottle of Johnny Blue for your 18th, whoa,
King of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reached the peak, but
did you have a wanker mate that said only drink Johnny Blue?
No, green. Johnny Green. No one had Johnny Blue.
I literally do not have one bottle of Johnny here. In fact, someone gave me a bottle of Johnny Black, and I was going to tell you about this. Halfway through at some point tonight. I took that bottle of Johnny Black and I stuck it in a little barrel that I have here on my bar that I used to keep musket in.
Oh yeah.
So Johnny Black didn't do anything for me, and I've now flavoured it with.
You're doing your own kind of
blend. I'm trying to finish Johnny Black to a point where I go, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I had a try of it this afternoon, and it's
really?
actually kicking goals.
Is it really?
It's actually kicking goals.
Wow.
You can taste the musket coming out of it with that spirit right in the background. It's not blended to a point where it's it's a cheapy barrel and it's just a bit of fun to see what it would do, but it's absolutely taking on the flavors. And I don't. I just want to highlight: drink what you want, drink what you like, but not my bag. So
yeah, we're not. All right, everyone. So we're back. Here's what happened. We were talking about whiskey. I don't even know what we were up to.
Jason's been asleep for 3 hours.
we were. The microphones died. The wireless mics died, and I looked over to the mixer, and there was nothing happening. So we realised we'd lost battery. So we've had a chat, and we've had a bit of a nibble and a couple of little sips on some stout.
Some stout, yep. An oat stout.
Oat stout. And John described it beautifully. Espresso.
It is. It's a cracker. It's really good. So the Banks Brewing Night Moves Oat Stout. I don't know about if anyone goes into the Bottle or IGA recently, but they've got phenomenal collection of local breweries. So you get by only 6 cans, they give you 15% off the whole lot. So you can grab some cool little weird beers. I do something called a Boilermaker, where you pair a nice heavy beer with a nice whiskey to see if they complement one another. So I think just before I cut out, you'll have to check through the editing, mate. We were talking about our third whiskey, which is the Bunnahabhain. The Bunnahabhain 12, we were at that get-together with work, and the boss said, order what you want from the bar. And just being there with a family away from family, so we're in Scotland by ourselves, and it was just a special moment and a special whiskey in a beautiful hotel there in Edinburgh, and I've never forgotten it. And ever since then, I think the whiskey sort of caught me there, and I don't know, I think you kind of romanticise it a little bit. Being to Scotland, and I've done there's what do they call it? There's a whiskey experience on the Royal Mile where they take you into It's like a little theme park for whiskey lovers. It's got one of the world's biggest whiskey collections. You jump in a barrel, it's like a ghost train. Takes you around through the maturation process, and you have a whiskey tasting at the end of it, and it was awesome. But the Bunnahabhain 12 has always been really special to me. It was also the whiskey I came back from Scotland dying for my grandfather to taste it, because I'm like, you love Lafroig, well, I love Bunnahabhain. And when I got to drink that with him, I was like, he was like, oh, I remember him looking at me going, my God, that's special. Just that we had a moment. So anyway, the Bunnahabhain 12 is a very special whiskey to me, and it's the reason why I've got 150 plus bottles sitting behind me. I get FOMO. You know, what if it's the best whiskey you've ever had? If you don't buy it, you'll never know. So yeah, this will probably be at your peak levels of I don't know what's acceptable in a Scotch, because I know you're not a peat or smoke guy.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about this one.
So be nervous. I would say on the nose you're going to get freaked out. You're going to smell peat.
I'm not completely freaked out by that, actually.
You'll get a little bit of smoke.
Like an ashtray.
No, you'll get a little bit of smoke on the back. So I would say this was a phenomenal segue whiskey for someone that wants to go from dessert wine barrel finished whiskey, so your Tawny, Muscat, Apera, Sherry, Oloroso cask finish, and move into peated smoky whiskies, because it kind of hints at it but doesn't smack you in the head with it. So for me, this is someone's going to probably can this, but it's for an affordable price, the epitome of the balance is what I would say. It's the most balanced whiskey I reckon I've got in the cabinet. So
before we go into it, I actually know. Let's have a sniff, and then I've got a question for you. Whiskey?
You're getting good at this. You'll definitely get that peat. So peat, if you grabbed a handful of dirt and shoved it into your face and smelt it, that's peat.
My next question was going to be, because I know you have described it to me before, but there's a difference between peat and smoke.
In my interpretation, absolutely. You can taste and smell smoke, like your campfire. Peat is something different. It's an earthiness to it. There's I think a lot of people love it because there's a connection between the barley and the ground that it came from and the end spirit.
Yeah.
So I think that's why people love it. I've got whiskies here. I just got honey. You'll get honey and peat in the same
I
whiff.
can smell the honey, actually. Yeah.
So I've got Ardbeg. I've got Lafroig.
Ardbeg, that's the really peaty one, is it?
I wouldn't give that to you. So, I'd give it to you as a fun thing just to see what you do.
On the scale, where is it compared to Lafroig?
It's I can't remember that. What's the? You got me now. There's actually a measurement for the peat level.
Like a scale.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Hey Google, how do you measure peat in a whiskey?
On the website WhiskyPedia.com, they say, peat levels are measurements using a high-performance liquid chromatograph. With their HPLC, chemists can analyze and quantify the composition of a substance, calculating how many phenols are in the malted barley or have deposited on it. This value is given in phenolic parts per million.
Phenolic parts per million. That is exactly what I was going to say. So Ardbeg would measure higher.
Right.
Would measure higher than Lafroig. That Ardbeg, I've got the Ardbeg Black looking at me right now. I've got the Octomore 13.1, I think it is. They're smack you in the face big whiskies, and I still love them. For me, they're a winter whiskey. The fire's on, it's freezing outside, but it's like a meal.
Yeah, right.
It's a really robust, really strong. I've got a few Scottish mates that can smack that stuff all night. For me, it's a 1 or 2 sort of nightcap sort of whiskey. Even I can find it polarizing. I can't go from that and taste one of these, if that makes sense.
Righto.
If you go from that to a delicate whiskey,
Is that like the last? That's the end point.
That's the end point, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Which is why we're drinking this 1/3. It's special to me, and that's why I chose it. But also, it's got a little bit more packs a little bit more of a punch. It's not stronger. We've already had the strongest whiskey tonight.
Yeah.
But flavour profile's bigger. So have a crack, man.
Right,
Enjoy.
Let's do it. No, that's not scary.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, you know what? I think that's I can't remember which I've tried, whether it's the Lefroy or it must have been the Lefroy, but I've had one where it was like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. And I'd say for me personally, it was maybe even off-putting.
Yep.
But this is actually, I would say it's up towards the top end for me of what I could do. But that was quite nice, actually.
So again, you should get that peat and smoke. More peat than smoke. You'll get a touch of. Did you? I don't know what happened just then.
No.
We have
Wee Man on Jackass.
we have Jackass playing in the background.
2 meters and 3 meters in the air.
He got him halfway through the sip. That one in for me, you get that peat level right up to where it's almost going to tip over, and then the fruits come back into it.
Yeah.
So again, I found it best of both worlds. It actually sells itself on the fact that it's got a toasted nuts and fruit element to it.
Yeah.
I really just think it if you think about Scotch, and so much of it can be polarizing. So for those that are looking around the map of Scotland, depending on where the region you go to, so Highland, Lowland, Speyside, Islay, single malts, there's a few more floating around there. You'll get a different flavour profile, and I just found that because this is from Islay, this is the Lefroy Ardbeg, same location, but it's a much more delicate peaty whiskey. So I thought you'd enjoy it. So I wanted to give you something a little bit outside your comfort zone. And it warms you. It's just that beautiful balance.
No, I would say for me that's not even that's more than just I can handle it. That's quite nice.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
I'm stoked to hear that.
That's quite nice. Yeah.
I've got fond memories of it. I actually have a cask strength bottle in that sitting in the cabinet there somewhere. But
now cask strength normally means it's very strong, right?
Your ABV's right up.
Yeah.
So when they took it out of the barrel,
yep,
it would have sat around 67%, 64%. They might have dropped it slightly, but they're keeping it up at that high level. And the idea is that you buy it at that level to put your water in it. You bring it to whatever you want.
So you adjust it to your taste.
But I feel like someone's crafted it enough. I'm just going to drink it as that. So unless I absolutely can't do it, I'm just going to drink it as that. So you'd be surprised.
Would it be rude for me to put a drop or two of water into it?
Absolutely. I encourage you to.
I'm curious. Yeah.
You encourage you to.
Where's the hole for this thing here?
Just there, yep.
Okay. So let's give this a go. I don't want to take too much water here.
I suppose for me with this one, I the story behind it, I wanted you to hear it, but also knowing what you normally drink, I really wanted to see if I could, challenge you a little bit with this one.
Yeah.
So he's put 2 drops of water like perfectly. That's exactly how you want to apply it to your whiskey, so you can measure it for next time. Give the nose a go, see how much it changes.
Yeah, very different.
Yep. And again, if you find a whiskey you're not stomaching, you feel it's too in your face, it's not sitting well with your palate, add water to it. It may not fix it for you. It might make it easier to drink. It might just not be. It may just be a whiskey that
Is my imagination getting away from me? Maple syrup.
I'll give it a whiff. I haven't put any water in my hand. No. Definitely. So there's that nuttiness and fruitiness that you're going to, which is pretty much your maple syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. For sure. There's definitely a softening of the nose when you put the water in it. So you don't get that alcohol burn in the back of your nose when you do put your head in it. It's only 46.3%, I think.
Yeah, right.
What's the thoughts on the taste after the water? Not too dissimilar?
Very smooth.
Ooh, smooth.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I feel like I'm getting less of the peatiness or the smoky. Peaty.
I would expect that. Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to train yourself if whiskey's your thing. So I've had since falling in love with whiskey, I can now enjoy a good quality tequila. I can actually drink a spirit.
Oh yeah,
with that horrible. Because we've all had the dirty Sierra Red Hat tequila, right? When you actually appreciate a spirit, I think you get accustomed to it, and you can have a little bit and just sort of sit there and enjoy it. And I really enjoy that the nosing, the palate, what it feels like actually to drink it, and then the finish and how it sort of develops in your mouth.
Yeah.
And I would encourage everyone to sort of aim towards that, but don't be afraid to work your way there. So, there's no hurry. Add water, add your ice. Actually, I haven't talked about ice much tonight at all. I don't love ice in whiskey because it does change the flavour profile. So the flavour molecules will freeze with the ice, and the whiskey will become completely different. It's not a true experience of it. So even the water, I've had the water out with the whiskey to get to room temperature to make sure that I don't keep it in the fridge, but if you put cold water into that whiskey, it would change the whiskey.
Yeah, right.
So
the water you use is just room temperature water?
Room temperature.
Same temperature as the whiskey.
Mate.
Tasmanian spring water.
That's it, yeah.
So you really... Whisking changing
Changing
the whiskey too much.
That's right.
I was waiting for the right time.
Hey, if you like ice in your whiskey, then go your hardest. I just, for me, right, if you're in the barrel house at Bunnahoven and you're trying a whiskey for the first time, going whether we should release this to the public, they've crafted this over years and years and years, and they taste and they're going, that's sensational. No, that's standalone. Put it, whatever that age statement is, put it out there. People need to try this. And then without even thinking, just because I go, I want it on the rocks, people try it and don't ever get that full experience that the person that made it wanted you to have. But maybe that sounds a little bit wishy-washy, but I feel like you owe it to them to sort of give it a go first and then work from there. But as long as you're drinking it and you're enjoying it and you're having fun with it, then do whatever the hell makes you happy. So, just an interesting take on that one.
What did I just get? I just got something else now. I'm swearing my
Jace, that's the dip. Put the dip down. It's not.
Hazelnuts?
Yes, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
And you'll get that way more with the water in it, for sure.
Yeah. I'm getting a bit better at this.
You'd be surprised. The more you have, the more you challenge yourself to pick flavours out of it.
And the more you get into the drink too, right?
Yeah.
It seems to I don't know if it seems to change or you just pick different things up maybe. I don't know.
Well, that's one of the fun things to do. So we've had 3 little samples here that you obviously can't see here on the podcast, but we've had 3 little samples. Another fun thing to do is, I told you I've got a cask strength version of the same age statement to do a side-by-side. So you have, a little sip of this and a little sip of that, and then you can kind of just sort of the nuances start to highlight. They start to jump to the forefront. You got to develop your palate. I'm not saying I'm great at it yet. I want to get good at it.
Yeah,
it's funny. I've got friends that are very good at red wine, and I enjoy red wine. I'll drink and go, yep, that tastes good. Let's go. But I can't pull it apart like I do a whiskey. I'm sure if I devoted myself to drinking more red wine, I could probably get better at it. But you just got to put the time in, and if you enjoy it, work your way up, and stick within your hitting zone. If for those out there that want to get started, start with something around the 40 to 45 ABV sort of mark, so it's not too high in alcohol content. And maybe look for a barrel finish that you like the sound of. So I love a red wine cask. I love a tawny, port, a sherry cask. I'll go for anything a little bit unusual. I'll buy it actually based on the finishing cask. So if you are looking to dip your toe into it, think of something with rich red fruits that are like that tawny fortified cask wine. You'll get that out of your whiskey just with a little nice little burn at the back. You'll love it. So yeah, give it a crack.
Oh man, just coming back to this first glass as well that we had. Oh, I love that smell. The middle one too is completely different to what I remember it smelling like earlier. But that first one, you know how I think I said before, prunes and plums. You ever had canned plums?
Yes.
And that's different to like plums, right?
Yep.
Canned plums.
Well,
now I'm getting
different?
canned.
They're still plums, bro.
It's like the plums.
So it's bringing back a memory for you. That's what's actually happening right now. That's bringing back a memory for you.
I'm in my grandparents' driveway. I don't know why. I'm in my grandparents'
Did
driveway.
anyone else just get a mental image of Jace eating plums out of a can in front of his grandparents' house? I don't judge, bros. I don't judge.
I don't know why I'm thinking of my grandparents' driveway.
But that's awesome. That's perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You can't get it wrong.
And I don't want to stop smelling it either.
That's awesome. I love that. That's that's what I want everyone to experience with whiskey. Look, whatever your hobby is, if you enjoy this, for me, the spirits work really well. That it's just, there's a bit of a relaxing element to it as well. That brings the shoulders down. But there's something so cool about figuring out a whiskey, and I reckon the people that make it won't ever fully comprehend how much we get out of it as drinkers, as just the people that enjoy it and become fans of what they do. Met some phenomenal people along the way and had some great conversations.
Yeah.
I love it anyway. So pretty passionate about it. And I really appreciate you letting me come onto your podcast again to have a chat about this and share my passion. But it's been awesome, man.
It has been awesome. And what a great tasting. I have to say, for me,
yep.
If I was going to go and buy a bottle of the 3 that we bought, that we tasted today, it would be the Ailing Boilermaker.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. I cannot stress how much of a fan I am of the Ailing Distillery. Not just because they gave me a bottle. They gave me a bottle based on how much I loved the first. The series 2. I could not believe how much flavour was in it, and I just for those out there that are listening that think that you have to have something from Scotland to be special, I really would love you to look at Aussie distilleries. Do a Google search. Happy for you to reach out on the Wobbly Wombat on Instagram or Facebook. I'd love to point you in the right direction. We have literal world beaters here in Australia. Sullivan's Cove is price point's a little bit out of touch for a lot of people, but they've won a few times best whiskey in the world. I have one behind me here, the Adams Distillery from Tasmania, that also won best whiskey in the world. We've got so many medals popping out from whiskies here in Australia. I just want to throw this at you to do your head in a little bit more. We live in a very unique climate, unlike Scotland, where we can take.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about this. Are you going to talk about the barrels?
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
Well, we have barrel interaction due to our weather, unlike anywhere else in the world. So when the spirit's in the barrel, the finishing barrel, and it heats up or cools down, it's going to absorb that whiskey, pull it into the timbers, and then spit it out when it's colder. And it does that so much quicker. We have to age our whiskey here in Australia for 2.5 years as a minimum, and we get...
Do you mean to be legally allowed to call it whiskey?
Spot on. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a minimum requirement.
Yeah.
But the interaction we get in that time is immense. We've got some crazy experimental whiskies. I've got one in here that's actually finished in a red gum cask.
Oh, wow.
Which is phenomenally good. You wouldn't expect it to be, but it is. So don't turn your nose up at Aussie stuff. We have some... I'm very, very Aussie proud of the industry and what we are spitting out there. I've got nothing to gain by that other than I'm a consumer just like everybody else.
Drinking great whiskey.
Yeah. So, I think a lot of people... Some of you that listen to this might just be buying a bottle for someone that likes whiskey. Go and buy them something they haven't heard of. Me as a whiskey fan, when someone buys me a bottle, I'm not a fan when they go get they'll get me Dimple or they'll get me Johnny Walker or because it's a big name. I'd rather you had a look around and found something that you thought was a bit unusual and go, hey, have a crack at this. I actually got a special edition cask strength Ned whiskey recently, and I'm actually looking forward to trying it because I've never tried it before. That's, as a whiskey fan, I reckon that's what you look for.
Curious.
So, but yeah, have a sticky beak. Happy to answer any questions you might have. But yeah,
so that's the Wobbly Wombat again. Wobbly Wombat. WOBBLY _WOMB at. Wobbly Wombat Facebook and
Instagram.
Insta. And check out the reviews, check out the photos, check out the pub because it's mind-blowing. And congratulations to you and it's John and Wombat and on because I know that you've had a lot of attention from the reviews and people seem to be really enjoying it. So check it out. Subscribe to the Wobbly Wombat and follow. John, thank you, sir.
Dude, anytime. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and it means a lot that you would even think of me to host this new sort of offshoot series of your podcast. I think you're doing great. For me, I listen to your podcast often, and I love seeing a mate thrive in his spot and somewhere where he's passionate about. So you're doing a great job, man. And again, thank you for involving me.
And likewise. Thanks, everyone. There you have it, folks. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of The Growth Project. I'm really enjoying the interaction, so please keep the messages and emails coming through. Keep an eye out for our upcoming Frontline Leader Mindset workshops at entertrain.com.au. They're in Sydney and Melbourne, and of course, you can reach out to request a private, customised workshop for your team. Again, that's entertrain.com.au. That's ENERTRAIN.com.au. What would really help us send our leadership insights far and wide is 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or even just share the show with your network, family, and friends. Until the next episode, look after yourself and look after your teams.